Bismillah awwalahu akhirah. Let me quote the full couplets of Allama Iqbal. I couldn't recall the first sentence. Maqam-e bandagi digar, maqam-e aashiqi digar. To be a bondsman, only something else. To be a lover is something else. Maqam-e bandagi digar, maqam-e aashiqi digar. Ze noori sajda mi khahi, ze khaki beshazan khahi. This is what the angel said when Allah told them, Inni ja'ilun fil ardi khalifa. قالوا أتجعل فيها من يفسد فيها ويسفك الدماء ونحن نسبح بحمدك ونقدس لك. Tasbih and tahmeed and all these things we are doing already. But he wanted something more. The noori sajda mi khahi, the khaki beshada khahi. Chura khudra nigehedari. You are so much self-conscious of yourself. Oh Allah. Nigehedar. You are so much mindful of your own self. Innani ana Allah la ilaha illa ana fa'budni waqimi salata li zikri. Chuna khudra nigehedari ke ba'i be-niyazi ha. You are ghani, you are be-niyaz, you need nothing. But despite all this be-niyazi and istighna, shahadat bar wujood khud ze khoon dostan khahi. You want that your lovers should give their blood and lives in testimony for you. So this is actually the place of love. So please again listen to this hadith. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى أكون أحب إليه من والده وولده والناس أجمعين. متفق عليه. Now what is the requirement? What is the manifestation of this love? It's a very beautiful phenomenon. Again, two equations, please. Learn them by heart, memorize them. The same two words, obedience and love. When these two are joined together for Allah, it becomes something else. When these same words, obedience and love, are joined together, bracketed together, but for Muhammad, it is something else. Ita'ah and mahabbah for Allah means ibadah. Al-ibadatu tajma'u waslain, ghayat al-hubb ma ghayat al-zull wal-khuzu'. But obedience and love for Muhammad, they go to make ittiba'. Ittiba' is more than obedience. Obedience is where? Where somebody has commanded you to do something, he has given an express order, do it. Now you are obeying. But he has not commanded you to do this. He is himself doing something and you are following him out of your own choice, due to your love. It is ittiba. Note the difference between obedience to the Prophet and ittiba of the Prophet. Ittiba is following. Ita is obeying. Obedience is in response to a command, to an order. And following doesn't need any order. Whatever you see him doing, wherever you find him going, follow him. I recall here a very beautiful sentence. I read it in the book, Freedom at Midnight. If they answer not your call, walk alone, walk alone. If people don't answer your call, man ansari Allah, nobody responds, well, go ahead alone. But if someone is there, he responds, he follows you. Very, very beautiful. If they answer not your call, walk alone, walk alone. But if there is someone who loves you, he'll follow you. Now this following of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, this ittiba, what's the position of this ittiba according to Quran? قُلْ إِن كُنْتُمْ تُحِبُّونَ اللَّهَ فَاتَّبِعُونِي يُحْبِبْكُمُ اللَّهُ. This is again the position of mahbubiyat of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. You become a beloved of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala if you are following Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Now what will it mean? A Muslim, an ordinary Muslim, is earning by halal, avoiding haram, he is obeying Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Then whatever wealth he has gathered, he is paying zakah, he is following Muhammad, he is obeying Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But is he following also? No. Muhammad did not retain any money with him. He never paid zakah. Did he? Following means something else. Obedience means something else. Obedience is earned by through halal means. If you are earning through haram means, you are gone. It's besides the question now, outside the discussion. But you are conforming to the law, fully obeying, fully abiding by the rules of the Sharia. You are earning, then you are keeping something with you. And if this saving reaches a certain level, you are paying zakah, you have fulfilled all the obligations, you are fully obedient to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, but you are not following Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He didn't retain anything with him. In that way, the followers of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam were the fuqara of Sahaba. Abu Dhar. But he was mistaken that he made it obligatory. He thought that this is necessary. The legal system of Islam is something else. The moral and spiritual system of Islam is something else. They don't necessarily coincide. And this is an example. The legal system of Islam requires you to earn through halal means. And if you have retained, you pay zakah. The requirements of the legal system have been completed. But the moral system of Islam says, don't keep it with you. يَسْأَلُونَكَ مَاذَا يُنْفِقُونَ قُلِ الْعَفْوَ. Whatever you needed, you have spent. This surplus value of Quran is something else. It's different from the surplus value of Marxism. This is the surplus value. Don't retain. And this is following. This is ittiba of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And I must admit, and we must admit, not all Sahaba fulfilled this level. Most of the Sahaba were at the legal level, yes. But fuqara, Ali radiyallahu anhu was one of them. Abu Dhar, Abu Darda, many of them we don't even know by name. And then after the age of the companions of the Prophet, only the Sufiya followed, and they pursued and they lived at this level. Not the ulama, the khutaba, the fuqaha, the muftis. No. They lived at this level. And that is why they could spread Islam. The kings couldn't do it. The ulama couldn't do it. This faqr, al-faqru fakhri. Now, I come to the crux of the matter. This following requires us to pursue the same course in our life as was pursued by Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. What was that? After the beginning of Wahi, did he engage himself in any earning, any business? He was a very successful businessman, no doubt. He was doing business at the highest level, export and import. But did he spend any single minute of his time for earning? After this command of Allah had come to him, Ya ayyuhal muddassir, qum fa'anzir, wa rabbaka fakabbir. Each and every minute of his life now dedicated to these two things. Inzar, which is the essence of da'wah. Anzir ashirataka al-aqrabin. Uhiya ilayya hadha al-Quran li'unzirakum bihi wa man balagh. Inzar. Try to awaken them. They are in slumbers. They are sleeping. And make the deen of Allah supreme. وَرَبَّكَ فَكَبِّرْ. Now you may represent it with the horizontal line and the vertical line. At the horizontal level, inzar, 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 inzar. Da'wah, da'wah, da'wah. At the vertical, iqamatud deen. Each and every minute, each and every second of his life, from the age of 40 till he went away from this world. Dedicated to what? Only these two things. Da'wah ilallah and jihad for establishing the deen of Allah. Now, if you love him really, if you want to follow him really, not only using miswak and be, very happy and proud, I am following Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, I am using miswak, not the brush. And keeping the miswak here in your, pocket so that everybody sees. Only your trousers are above your ankles. Oh, what a great lover of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. This is how we have changed our concepts. Ittiba, the place where a man becomes beloved of Allah. Ittiba of Muhammad as a da'i, as a mujahid, as a person who dedicated all his energies, all his time, after the age of 40. فَلَمَّا بَلَغَ 40 سَنَةً حُبِّبَ إِلَيْهِ الْخَلَا فَكَانَ يَخْلُو بِغَارِ حِرَا. And there the message started coming. And thence onward, not a single minute was devoted to any profession, any business, anything of the sort. Today you know the terms macroeconomics and microeconomics. This is macro ittaba. And this using the miswak and all these things. A Sahabi came to see the Prophet ﷺ, and the Prophet ﷺ had not buttoned up his shirt. He saw him in that condition. So now for the rest of his life, because he went away, he had come from somewhere, he saw only once. Now he never buttoned his shirt. He saw Muhammad in that condition. This is ittiba. He didn't give the order. But this is micro ittiba. When at the macro level, we are after this world, profession, business, earning, and this and that, and we are only having ittiba at the micro level. This is the perversion of ittiba, not ittiba. And here I want to quote the ayah. This is ayah number 57 of Surah Al-Araf. فالذین آمنوا بہ وعزروہ ونصروہ واتبعوا النور الذی انزل معہ اولئک هم المفلحون. عزروہ, honor him. And number two, nasaruhu, help him. Now if I am engaged in the struggle for establishment of deen, I am following Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. I am helping Muhammad sallallahu alayhi wa sallam. Why? It was his duty. هو الذي أرسل رسوله بالهدى ودين الحق ليظهره على الدين كله. It was his duty. He called people, Kunu Ansar Allah. That is, come and join hands with me. Be my helpers. لَقَدْ أَرْسَلْنَا رُسُلَنَا بِالْبَيِّنَاتِ وَأَنزَلْنَا مَعَهُمُ الْكِتَابَ وَالْمِيزَانَ لِيَقُومَ النَّاسُ بِالْقِسْطِ وَأَنزَلْنَا الْحَدِيدَ فِيهِ بَأْسٌ شَدِيدٌ وَمَنَافِعُ لِلنَّاسِ وَلِيَعْلَمَ اللَّهُ مَن يَنصُرُهُ وَرُسُلَهُ بِالْغَيْبِ. إِلَيَّ يَا عِبَادَ اللَّهِ. He shouted these words when in the valley of Hunain most of the companions, most of the Muslims, they had run away. They were taken by a surprise. It was, so to say, a reflex action. The army passing through a valley, they didn't know that the Hawazin, people of Hawazin, they were hiding in the mountains. Now when they came into the range, volleys of arrows coming suddenly. So there was panic. It was a reflex action. Everybody ran for some shelter, for protection. Some say only 30 Sahaba remained with the Prophet. But I think the more authentic is 300, near about 300. But 300 out of 12,000. You can imagine what was the picture at that time. وَيَوْمَ حُنَيْنٍ إِذْ أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ كَثْرَتُكُمْ. Because some of the Muslims thought, who can defeat us today? Sometime it was a time when we were 313 and 1,000 couldn't defeat us. Now we are 12,000. وَيَوْمَ حُنَيْنٍ إِذْ أَعْجَبَتْكُمْ كَثْرَتُكُمْ. But what happened? At that juncture, the Prophet came down from his either camel or horse, whatever it was, took the standard in his own hand. He read out a verse, I think for the first and the last time in his life. أَنَا النَّبِيُّ لَا كَذِبْ أَنَا ابْنُ عَبْدِ الْمُطَّلِبِ. I am the Prophet of Allah and there's no lie about it. Whether 12,000 remain with me or not, I remain the Prophet and Messenger of Allah. And I am here in the field, I, the son of Abdul Muttalib. Ana Nabiyyu la kazib, ana ibn Abdul Muttalib. And then he called, Ilayya ya ibadallah, where are you running? Oh, you servants of Allah. Ilayya ya ashab al-shajara, ilayya ya ashab al-badr. And then the people returned. So this is the helping of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. And that mission of Muhammad is still alive. वक्त फुर्सत है कहाँ, काम अभी बाकी है, नूर तौहीद का इत्माम अभी बाकी है. You remain in your professions and businesses. Who will do the job? Everybody should have some reflection. Ittiba of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam would require devotion whole time, wholehearted. Obedience is something else. For us, it is also something very great that we obey. But there should be some people at least who should take to ittiba of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. But this ittiba, first at the macro level, then you go to the details and the micro level also. So this is, now the context is changed. Because it is a duty, Allah wants to do it to us. No, I am doing it out of love for Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam. I am helping him in his mission. It is his mission. He was sent to make the deen of Allah supreme. And now you complete this triangle. Two ahadith we have just read now. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يكون هواه تبعا لما جئت به. Number one. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى أكون أحب إليه من والده وولده والناس أجمعين. And the third one, I told you the hadith number 13 of this collection. لا يؤمن أحدكم حتى يحب لأخيه ما يحب لنفسه. In pursuing this tabligh and iqamatud-deen, struggle for iqamatud-deen, when you are following Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the spirit should be the love of people. Al-khalqu ayalullah, al-deenu an-nasiha, for their welfare, to save them, not to project your personality. Allazina la yuriduna uluwan fil ardi wala fasada. If you want some high position for your own self, you are committing shirk. The sole motivation should be love of people, sincerity for them, so that the social justice is established. This is the biggest public service. This is the service to humanity. Number one, try to save them from the fire of hell in the eternal life. Number two, establish the just political socio-economic order so that maximum number of people can have peace of mind, can have some time to reflect and to ponder and to have a dialogue, a communion with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Otherwise, maximum number of people, they have been reduced to the status of burdens, beasts of burden. Who are they? Not human beings. Beasts of burden and nothing else. So with this, I conclude this session of Hadith, but now one thing more. How to get this real Iman? Last discussion about tasawwuf. First equation, tasawwuf is nothing but ihsan. Second equation, ihsan is nothing but real Iman, deep Iman, living Iman, vibrating Iman, burning Iman, conviction. But how to get it now? That's again the crux of the matter. Where to find it? Where to get it from? Now here, as I told you before also, I have discussed these things in detail in my lectures on Iman. But here I want to add it so that this 3 hours, tape also becomes complete in itself. For this purpose, we have to distinguish between 2 types of Iman, first of all. One Iman which we may call blind faith. I am not using this word with any contempt. Even blind faith is the most precious thing, because it is faith. It is faith. And let me tell you, at most of the times, blind faith is stronger than the other type of faith which I will be discussing later. Stronger in intensity, blind faith. Which is the other type of Iman? Iman with insight. Iman with understanding. Iman with an intellectual dimension. Iman ala wajhil basira, according to the Quranic terminology. قُلْ هَذِهِ سَبِيلِي أَدْعُو إِلَى اللَّهِ عَلَى بَصِيرَةٍ أَنَا وَمَنِ اتَّبَعَنِي. This Iman is something else. But this is the weakness of human society, that the society as a whole will never accept any change unless there is a very strong nucleus of intellectual elites of that society who have real faith, faith with understanding, faith with insight, faith with intellectual dimension. Because human society behaves like a human being, a living organism. A more than 200 kilogram weight of my body is controlled by this brain. Maybe a kilogram or less than that, I think, controlled by it. Same is the case with human society. It is controlled by the intelligentsia, by the intellectual elite, by the brain trust, as you call it, of the society. If you want to change the system, iqamat ad-deen is not possible with only blind faith. The large number of people who will be required at the time of the final offensive, they will be okay with blind faith. But to initiate that process, to fulfill the prerequisites which have to be fulfilled before taking any offensive, there you need Iman with intellectual dimension, with understanding, with insight. So please keep the ideas balanced. I am not using the term blind faith with any contempt or hatred. No. It is as effective as regards the person himself. It is as effective or maybe more stronger than the Iman with an understanding at the personal level. But at the collective level, if you have iqamatud-deen before you, to make the deen of Allah supreme, and that is to establish Islam as a whole politico-socio-economic system, then in the beginning you need a strong nucleus of people who have real faith with understanding and deep insight. If this is clear, now what are the methodologies of getting these two types of Iman? For the blind faith, or you may say it, faith without any intellectual dimension, the easiest way is to keep company of those who have that type of Iman. Be near to them. Kunu ma'as sadiqeen. It will flow. Just as if you are sitting in front of a furnace, heat will flow from that furnace to you. You have only to do something, and that is you come nearer to the furnace. The rest of the phenomenon is passive. You are not doing anything now. You are just sitting. Sitting in the sun, and you are having the heat of the sun. Sitting before a furnace, you are getting the heat. No extra activity is required. Kunu ma'as sadiqeen. Sohbah, company. The second, because you are born Muslim, and something has been put in your mind that Salah is first, Roza is first, this is first, now you start practicing it. Go on practicing, and this practice will also give you real Iman. This is a two-way process. Iman gives birth to practice, and practice strengthens Iman. Zadathum imana. Their Iman got increased due to their patience and steadfastness. These two methods, first was mainly used by Sufia. There was an illiterate, unlettered Sufi in Dipalpur in Pakistan. I held him in high esteem. I used to go to him and meet him. And he was a Rangar from, Rohtak district of Haryana state now. He used to say, Sohbat faraiz rakhi. Sohbat is farz. Keep the company. Kunu ma'as sadiqin. And the second thing is more used today by the Tablighi Jama'ah. Practice, 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 practice. Also sohbah, company. You are moving in a group. Now you have a society, a small society of your own. You go to a town, go to the mosque, nowhere else, stay there. Now all your prayers are with Jama'ah, with congregation. 24 hours in one environment. So both these factors are added over there. Practice plus company. And that is why I wrote it, and I still believe. I wrote it in as back as 1967 that the Tablighi Jama'ah does produce Iman. But Iman without any intellectual dimension. This is again the balance. Except one thing that is there. If you have to point out what is not there. This is the methodology adopted by Quran. He says about the people of book, Laisu sawa, they are not all alike. Among them there are very pious people. وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ إِنْتَامَنْهُ بِقِنْطَارٍ يُوَدِّهِ إِلَيْكَ وَمِنْهُمْ مَنْ إِنْتَامَنْهُ بِدِينَارٍ لَا يُوَدِّهِ إِلَيْكَ إِلَّا مَا دُمْتَ عَلَيْهِ قَائِمًا. They are not all alike. So you must acknowledge the good or the virtue which is there. And then you must understand what is lacking over there. After leaving Jamaat Islami in 1957, early 57, I remained for 2 years with Tablighi Jama'ah. Although I never completed any 40 days chilla, but 3 days, say roza, so many say rozas. I went to their big gatherings also, to Raiwind also. But then I decided, this is not the place. They have no concept of Iqamatud-Din. Otherwise they are okay. But Iqamatud-Din, if it is the fard, the struggle, then it is not sufficient. So for this purpose you need Iman with intellectual dimension. And the only source of Iman with intellectual dimension is Quran and Quran and Quran only. Read it, recite it, listen to good qiraat of it, try to recite it with the best of your voice. Ponder over it, reflect over it, dive deep into the ocean of its meaning, and continue this process whole life, never to stop. First of all, when you read Quran, at least the first precondition is that you must understand it. Not necessarily that you become a mufassir or a big alim or a mufti, but There should be no language barrier in between you and Quran. That much Arabic is essential. Now if you are reading it and you feel within yourself that something within you is attesting to it, it is correct. It is the truth. Something within you is having a sympathetic vibration with this Quran. If this is the feeling, you come to believe that the source of your nature and the source of this book is the same. Why this sympathetic vibration in me? There's something in it which corresponds to my own nature. Something within me. I might not be able to express it. I might not be able to argue it. I might not be able to prove it for others. But something in me testifies to it. And this is the basis. That is this beginning, not all. But then Quran discusses things relating to the top metaphysical questions. If you have the thirst, you will feel satisfied. Yes, this is the place. This is the truth. It has the solutions for all the social problems. If you are a student of that field, you will find satisfaction. Yes. Here lies the answer to all the problems. This way, this Iman would be your own feeling. I usually give an example that perhaps, supposing if a person has never tasted sugar, and 1,000 people testify before him, sugar is sweet, sugar is sweet, sugar is sweet. What will he say? Yes, it might be sweet. There's no reason why they are telling a lie. Such a big consensus. It must be sweet. It must be sweet. Yes, yes. But when you taste it yourself, now you say it is sweet. This is the difference between Iman based on logic or philosophy and Iman based on your own perception. That is said in philosophical terminology. This universe is a concept, but God is a percept. What's the difference between concepts? You conceive something, that is, you have an idea, a total idea about it. This wall you are seeing, you have an idea, it's about 80 feet long and 12 feet high, and this is made of bricks, something of that. Now you have a total conception about this wall. But supposedly you are blind. You can't see the wall. Now you have gone there and you can't go from the one end to the other. You are touching it with your hands. The wall is here. I can't say how long it is, how high it is. I can't have the concept of the wall, but I have the perception of the wall. You perceive within you the existence of Allah, although you cannot have a conception of Allah. Conception you can't have without having a total understanding of Him, and that is impossible. But perception, He is there. This wall is there. There is perception. دور بینان بارگاہ الست جز ازی پین برد اند کے ہست. The people who can see very far off, بارگاہ الست, الست بربکم, the souls, the spirits. They don't engage into discussions about what is His form, what is His attributes and what He is like, nothing of the sort. جو دزیں پین برد اند کے ہست, It is present. He is present. This is the total. This feeling you can have about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And to this is then added the intellectual element through Quran. أَفَلَا يَتَدَبَّرُونَ الْقُرْآنَ أَمْ عَلَىٰ قُلُوبٍ أَقْفَالُهَا. The deeper you dive. We read that hadith. لَا تَنْقَضِي عَجَائِبُهُ لَا يَشْبَعُ مِنْهُ الْعُلَمَاءُ لَا يَخْلُقُ عَنْ كَثْرَةِ الرَّدِّ. You will never feel satiated with it, that all that you could get, you have already got. Now you have no further need of reading it. It's not like a mine of jewels which can be exhausted. لا تنقضي عجائبه. Go on digging it, go on, go on, go on. And newer and more beautiful gems and jewels will continue coming out of it. لا تنقضي عجائبه ولا يخلق عن كثرة الرد. Go on repeating and repeating and repeating. You will never feel bored. It will never be boring. لا تنقضي عجائبه ولا يخلق عن كثرة الرد ولا يشبع منه العلماء. This is the source of real Iman with intellectual dimension. And you know, very beautifully, although Maulana Zafar Khan was not some philosopher or some big alim or that type of person, but somehow or the other, he said it and he expressed this truth very beautifully. वो जिन्स नहीं ईमान जिसे ले आए दुकाने फलसफा से. Pure philosophy cannot give you Iman. Never. The logical final place of philosophy is either agnosticism or skepticism. Iman you can't have through philosophy. Philosophy can sharpen your wits, save you from wrong ideologies. गुजर जा अक्ल से आगे कि ये नूर चिरागे राह है मंजिल नहीं है. It can point to the direction. This way you must go. That's all. It cannot take you to your destination. अक्ल गो आस्था से दूर नहीं, इसकी किस्मत में पर हुजूर नहीं. Aql is not very far off. It points to the right directions. It's a big faculty with which Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has bestowed human beings. أَفَلَا تَعْقِلُونَ أَفَلَا يَعْقِلُونَ لَعَلَّكُمْ تَعْقِلُونَ لَعَلَّهُمْ يَعْقِلُونَ. How many times it has been repeated? But it can't take you there. Neither logic, neither your senses. لَن تَرَانِي. Even Moses was refused. His request refused. لَن تَرَانِي. Neither you can perceive me through your senses, nor you can conceive me through your logic and philosophy, but you can feel my presence in your heart. And that is the perception. Unless you feel His presence in your heart, it is not Iman. It is dogma. It is testimony, attestation, the first prerequisite of Islam. But to have that thing under you, वो जिन्स नहीं ईमान जिसे ले आए दुकाने फलसफा से, ढूंढे से मिलेगी आकिल को ये कुरान के सिपारों में. Aqil, you must be an intellectual person yourself. Otherwise you will have blind faith. And for blind faith you don't need Quran. Only reading it because it is also practice. Even without understanding. When I said practice can give you blind faith. So this is also a deed, an action. You are reading and reading and reciting and reciting and reciting, just as you are praying and praying and praying and praying. So this will give you blind faith. But that faith which has an intellectual dimension, which is the essential prerequisite of a revolution, of iqamatul deen, of establishing the deenul haq as a whole politico-socio-economic system, is the iman, the faith with understanding and insight and an intellectual dimension. And the only source for that type of iman is Quran. And let me quote here the hadith. I think Brother Basit Bilal has already quoted in some of his lectures. And this is the last page of Mishkatul Masabih. You will find this hadith. The Prophet ﷺ once asked his companions a question. It was the most natural way of teaching, asking questions. Ayyul khalqi ajabu ilaykum imanan. Oh, my companions, please try to answer this question. Who among all the creatures of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala has the most beautiful iman? Beautiful. Ayyul khalq a'jabu ilaykum imanan. In the first attempt, the Sahaba replied, Al-Malaika. Because they are with the Lord, they are seeing Him, or they are very near to Him. They are seeing the paradise, they are seeing the Jahannam, and so on. He rejected the answer. He said, وَمَا لَهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ وَهُمْ عِنْدَ رَبِّهِمْ. How can they not believe when they are with their Lord? उन्होंने कौन सा तीर मारा है? Then they said, then the prophets. He said, no. وَمَا لَهُمْ لَا يُؤْمِنُونَ وَالْوَحْيُ يَنْزَلُ عَلَيْهِمْ. How could they not believe? The wahi was coming to them. In the third attempt, they said, I think they must have said it hesitatingly, فَنَحْنُ. Then we have the best and beautiful, most beautiful iman. Again, answer rejected. وَمَا لَكُمْ لَا تُؤْمِنُونَ وَأَنَا بَيْنَ أَظْهُرِكُمْ. How will you not come to believe when I am with you? You are seeing me. You are having my company. And now he came forward with the real answer to the question that he had asked. إِنَّ أَعْجَبَ الْخَلْقِ إِلَيَّ إِيمَانًا لَإِخْوَانُنَا الَّذِينَ يَأْتُونَ مِن بَعْدِي يَجِدُونَ صُحُفًا فِيهَا كِتَابُ اللَّهِ فَيُؤْمِنُونَ بِمَا فِيهَا. The most beautiful iman will be of those brothers of ours, ikhwanuna, our brothers, who will come after me. They will find only leaves, suhuf, fiha kitabullah, in which will be written the book of Allah. And they will believe through this. Yu'minuna bima fiha. This is the most beautiful iman. That is why in the same chapter, there is another hadith. I can't quote the text, but the Prophet said, the similitude of my ummah is like that of a rain. You can't say whether the first part of the rain is more productive, more useful, or the last part. In the same way, it cannot be said whether the first part of my ummah is better or the last part. Now in both these hadiths, there must be a caution. Al-Fazila, it is something else. Afzalul Iman is of Sahaba. Ajabul Iman is about those people. These two words are different. I told you, the most important is the first story. The highest is the third. The most beloved of near Allah is the taqarrub bil fara'is, but the highest is taqarrub bil nawafil. So we have to see the connotation of different words. Afzalul iman, that is of Sahaba. Ajabul iman, most beautiful, maybe of somebody else. La ikhwanuna yatuna min ba'di yajiduna suhufan fiha kitabullah fayu'minuna bima fiha. In the same way, afzalul ummah as-sahaba. Khair ummati qarni summa allazina yalunahum summa allazina yalunahum. But maybe the people who bring about the revolution before the end of this world, without the company of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, the Sahaba had the privilege of the company of Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, but they will be without his company, without that blessing. Maybe in the eyes of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that becomes more beautiful. So this is all that I wanted to say about, and this completes, my concept of tasawwuf. أقول قولي هذا واستغفر الله لي ولكم ولسائر المسلمين والمسلمات.